Now, to start today's evening, I would actually like to call up and introduce to you someone very special and with a very special story to say. You know, majority of us have had an easy ride through life, but there are many young people to whom everyday life is a challenge. And to have young people who look at that challenge as something that can be tackled, to be able to rise above it, to fight against it, it's not easy, especially if you are a girl. But here I would like to introduce to you a young lady called Swati Kati from Mumbai, who will tell you her own story, but who has overcome what I would describe even as unsurmountable challenges to reach where she has, as she's a student at Bard University today. So Swati, over to you. Oh, sorry, Shweta. Shweta, I'm so sorry. Come along, come.
I hope you guys can see me.
They can
And
all
hear
see
me.
you. Yeah, they'll hear you also.
Okay, so my name is not Swati, but Shweta Kati, and I'm from Mumbai, and I go to Bard College in New York, and I just finished my freshman year, and I'm so excited to start my sophomore year. Um, so I'm here today to share my story. I hope you guys don't have anda and tomato. Borunge to don't throw it on me, please. So I grew up in Kamatipura. I don't know how many of you heard about it. It's Asia's third largest red light area. Red light area is a place where there are women having sex for money. So I grew up in a brothel. Um, my grandmom was a domestic worker in brothels, and my mom grew up there too. She's a factory worker, and I don't know. People call it like dangerous, bad, and something place. But for me, it was a normal life, daily life. So it was never like, oh, it's dangerous. I don't want to go to that place. I live there. I don't have a choice. Although it is dangerous in some way, there were times when men came to me. I was 12 or 11, I guess, when this guy, like, fortish guy came up to me and was like asking for my rate and was like, chalti hai kya, kind of. And I was like, I just like ran and it just cried. And I couldn't even complain about it to my mom or like anyone else because they would just be teri galti thi. They'll blame it on me because I'm a girl. I'm not supposed to be out and combing my hair and whatever, showing off my beauty or whatever. But that's what they say. And like I had when I was 12, I don't know. I like to daydream. I still daydream, and I used to daydream a lot. And I had this daydream to go to the States and study. I didn't know what state was, what USA, America, no states, America, the whole America. I want to go there and study. I didn't know it was a continent or like a country or a city or whatever. I just wanted to go because, you know, it's a fancy place to be and you have like a lot of popularity if you go and like, because although like people expect very less from us. They are like, what would she do? After she completes her education or whatever, will go to someone's house and clean dishes or like do jharu pocha. That's what they expect from me, from us, from girls from the red light areas. And but I wanted to change it. You know, I just wanted to get out of there and like be like, you know, yeah, she's done something. No, I didn't know like I would ever be able to, I could ever do it. I just had that thing in my mind that I want to get out, I want to do something big, not something small. Like everything's big, but then when I was small, I wanted to do something big, which was USA was big for me. So like, but still, I was studying in a Marathi municipal school. I didn't know English. I had really low self-confidence because I'm dark and you're Indian, so you know, dark people are called ugly. So people used to call me cow dung, black bamboo, and other stuff. My stepdad used to say, your heart is as dark as your skin color, which still hurts because, yeah, I'm dark. And I think I'm beautiful. And thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you guys think that too. So, but then I had this I hated myself for being dark. I hated myself for being a girl. I hated myself for being from a red light area, for growing in a brothel where I couldn't share my background or couldn't tell anyone that I'm from Kamatipura or I stayed there, come with me, let's hang out at my place. No, I can't. I couldn't, sorry. I can now, but I couldn't then. I had that thing, like, I don't know what would people say. I don't know how would they think. I don't know what would they say about me. I would always worry about that. And I mean, that's what like that's what got into my head. And after that, uh, I completed my 10th. I used to go to this organization called Apne Aap Women's Collective for my evening classes. And there when I was in 12th, I used to teach math. I was really good at math, but not anymore. But so then I was struggling with my studies there because my stepdad is an alcoholic and he sexually abused me when I was young. I was abused by many men, and I had like I couldn't concentrate. I'm not really good at studies. I'm not. Trust me. I'm like the bad. Like I am like zero at it. But I still wanted to get out, so I wanted to get good scores in 12th standard. So I went out and told them like, you know, I wanna go to some place where I could like sit and study. So I came to know about this organization called Kranti. Kranti empowers the girls from red light areas to become an agent of social change. And Kranti has a really bad reputation at our area because at Kranti we're open about where we're from, what we are, what we do. Like we're from red light area, yeah, we're from red light area. Some of my friends at Kranti are daughters of sex workers. Yeah, we talk openly about it. We wear shorts, we have boyfriends and all. So they call us sluts. They call us padi likhi randis, literate whores. So that's what they call us. But we don't mind, you know, people will call, you know, they say, kutte bhokte to bhokne do, humko kya. So that's what we start ignoring it. We stop. And then like after that, when I was in 12th, I completed my 12th. I didn't know what. So when I was young, I had all these dreams, becoming a scientist, a doctor, an engineer, and stuff, because that's what all I knew. I didn't know anything like outside of my small world. I didn't know anything. But then when I got into Kranti, I got exposure. After 12th, I got really bad score, so I wasn't hoping to get into any university in Mumbai or in India at all. And I took a gap year because I wanted to know what can do, what I can explore. So I took a gap year. I did workshops. I did public speaking and workshops on sexuality and gender, sex education, sex work, and child abuse, and all of that. It helped me build my self-confidence. And we get therapy at Kranti, which helps, you know, like come out of your trauma, because I literally couldn't stand. I don't know. Today I can stand in front of people and talk. Before I would just be afraid of talking to the person next to me because I would worry about what that person would think or that person would make fun of me or something, because that's what I had like experienced all my life. So, but now I'm confident, and because all of this traveling, I travel a lot. I love traveling, and it's fun. So after a while, I told them I want to go to, they started talking about sending girls to the States to pursue their education. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was dreaming about it when I was 12 or something. And then I told them, and they were really open about it. And Kranti is not kind of like just an organization, it's a shelter home, and it's like a family. We're like really small, and so I could talk openly about anything I wanted, even if they wanted to say no or whatever. I knew they're going to accept me or whatever. So they said, sure, we would help, we would love to help you about like anything you want to do. So they started making all these different options. So I lucky, you know, Indian Democrats, like Indian system. I wanted to get my passport for this program, but I couldn't get. It took like like 10 months to get my passport. And I lost so many opportunities, and I still didn't know, like, if I was going to, like, get there, like, if I could just, be there. I didn't know how I was going to do. But then at a conference, I couldn't give TOEFL, SAT, or anything, and I don't wanted to because my English was bad. So I met a person at a conference in Mumbai, and he was like, "Oh, your story is extraordinary. I would love to help you." He knows. So he knows a director of admissions at Bard College. So he said I would talk to her if you want me to, and I was like, I would love to, because I don't know if I stand in like any option right now. I don't have any options because I couldn't send applications without my TOEFL scores, and they accepted me, plus they gave me full tuition scholarship, and I was like, whoa. And the next day I go back to my home, and I'm like, I just Google it and look at pictures. Oh, how's it gonna be, and even then, like, I got my passport for, like, I sat hours at offices and, like, crying, like, please give me my passport, please, please. And like, my mom's illiterate, so she didn't know, like, how to make documents. I didn't have my birth certificate, I didn't have anything, so it took months. After that, so still, like, when didn't have my visa till on the day, I got my visa on the day I was leaving, like, and 1 hour before I was leaving. Like, I went to consulate. That guy was so helpful. He really helped me. He was, like, standing outside the consulate waiting for me, and I was like, I ran to him and got my passport. I told my friend to get my all my bags to airport, and they came there, and I was like, please, bhaiya, jaldi chalo. The rickshaw wala like, jaldi chalo. And I still had that fear. I don't know if I was going to get it, because all my life I've lost opportunities. I didn't know if I would still be able to do it. And then at the end, I got it, and at the counter he was like, "This is world record, ma'am. इतने देर में किसी को flight नहीं मिलती." I was like, "भैया ये वाली मिल जाए, बाकी सब छूटेगी तो भी चलेगा." So finally I got into that flight, and I was on my way. I would just cry. I couldn't cry. I didn't cry at all. I was just, like, sitting there and staring. You have that map thing, they show it where your plane is going. I was like, किधर जा रही हूँ मैं? Do I really want to do it? Do I really want to go away from my family, from everyone? I didn't know, but I just, like, let's do it, nahi to nahi, we'll do something else. But now I have the opportunity, I'm not gonna leave it. Like, seriously, everyone in my life has helped me a lot. My mom, so the day before sometime before I was leaving, she called me, because I lived at Kranti. She called me and she was like, I miss you, in Hindi, I miss you and all. And I was like, if you want me to stay, I'll stay. If you want me to go, I'll go. Whatever you want, because I live for her. She's my inspiration. I'm here because of her, and I might start crying because of her. but she said, no, go. This is your dream. You want to live this life, leave. Like, you want to leave, leave. It's okay. And she was like, throughout my life, she's my inspiration. And even the people I grew up with, the sex workers, people call them the garbage of the society, whatever they want to call it, but they are the most loving and caring people I've ever met in my life. They were the ones, when I was young, I would just sit in front of TV and watch. I still do that, but then my mom would beat me up. I still wouldn't listen. But then these sex work, like, one of my best friends, she was, like, really nice to me. She would dress me up for my school, for any functional, like a school function or anything. She said, what do you want to do, Shweta? You don't want to study? Okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to end up like us? Do you want to be here? What do you want to do? And, that was encouraging. People are so scared to go to that place because of them, but it's not true. They're scared of you, not you, but the people. But the people who don't want to go, people who are scared of them, they're scared of the society. They don't know. People ask me why they just can't leave the place. Dude, you don't know them. You don't know their lives. You can't judge them. If they don't have an option. If they had, they would have done something else, or they would have done the same thing. It's their wish. It's on the individual. You can't judge them. Well, there were so many people who inspired me, and and each and every person had something to inspire, and I learned every day from each and every one, and I'm learning a lot from you guys too, like being here from the afternoon, I guess, and watching all your projects and all. I'm like, ऐसे भी करते हैं? Because I'm not that like इतना अच्छे से नहीं आता मेरे को वो सब, but like there's everyone inspires. Even the person you don't know, even the person who just walks by you and like gives you a smile, like hee, and that just makes your day. Like मेरी life तो हो गई अभी. Like there are some people like that. So everyone's inspirational. Thank you. I hope you guys didn't get bored.
Well, if that didn't touch us, then nothing will touch us. So I think, though you've all given her a standing ovation, let's give her another round of applause. And it's a very appropriate speech, I think, because we are talking about inspiring moments. She said very frankly how many people inspired her, but I think today she has in turn inspired many people. And I think we thank her for coming here and for sharing her experience with us. I think we are the richer for having met her and for having spoken with her. So now we go on to other inspirational moments from our young leaders, and I would ask Maya and Sejal to pull out names from the hat, and let's see whose turn it is. All right, it's somebody who was praying very hard earlier that her name would never be pulled up. So Urvi Ragbir.
Okay, so that's a really tough act to follow up on. And I'm sure whatever I say is not going to be equally as inspiring as what we just heard. But, okay, so I think the most inspiring thing that I probably would have done in college for myself would be in the first semester when I took a class on sustainable systems. It was about the environment and sustainability, and also since I'm at a design school, it introduced design into it as well, and how we should like design things to help for a sustainable environment. So I was really inspired by that class and by my professor, and so I designed this product that gets attached to air conditioners. Because as you know, the air conditioner, because I was walking back and forth from Starbucks one day and I saw that specific air conditioner on the way from college to my dorm would always be leaking. So I knew that it just kind of like hit me, and I was like, that the amount of water that's getting wasted by that air conditioner is just a lot. And so I researched a bit on it, and there's about 7.5 liters or 2 gallons of water that can get wasted from an air conditioner in one day. And so I thought that something should be done about it, because to start small is like the best way to start, and that was something that seemed doable. And so I designed a product that could get attached to the air conditioner, and when the air conditioner leaks, it would have a filter, and we learned about various different filter systems in my class, so that's what I was inspired by as well. And so it would filter the water, and there would be 8 to 10 bottles or tube-like structures attached to it, which were detachable. So you could, in the hot summer days, it would also give cold water, and it would be, you could drink it, because actually, believe it or not, 72% or 80% of the air conditioner water is actually potable, which was tested by a lot of people. And so if it was further filtered, then you could drink it. But of course, you'd have to get past the mindset of drinking air conditioner water. But so I enrolled in the new challenge, which is an annual competition that is held at the college every year for students with ideas which could get funded and turn the ideas into reality. And so I was shortlisted as one of the 2 freshmen competing with 2 undergrads, actually competing with mostly graduate students for grants. And so now there are a lot of things that I still need to work on that. I have built a prototype and everything, but there are a few challenges, like if the air conditioner is placed on the outside, how you would go all the way outside, change the tubes and things like that. So I'm just still working on that. But yeah, that's basically what I did. Thank you.
Well, it seems to be the luck of all the people who have been praying very hard that their name shouldn't come out of the hat. So here's the second one like that, Salil Singh.
So I took a gap year this past year and did a lot of traveling and dealt with people in the underprivileged sections of society. One of my things was working on a project to help auto wallahs secure their social security benefits assured by the government. So they weren't aware of what the government promises them and how to secure these benefits for themselves. And this past year, I was doing some other work separately, and I regularly started taking one particular auto, and the guy befriended me. And one particularly, she took me to his home. So we were discussing politics and how he's completely disillusioned with the system and how it's a dead end for the poor people. And in the middle of it, he started talking about how he's campaigning for Kejriwal and other people like that. And then right there in the middle, without any prompt, he just told me, भैया आप जैसे लोग के पास जो power है, जो education का power है, पढ़ाई लिखाई का power है, and the power of your education, the privilege you have, what are you doing just drinking the Kool-Aid, as Mr. Khemka regularly spoke about? So it really inspired me, and until then I had been drinking the Kool-Aid. I had been actually just following what the news said, whatever I was fed by society, and tried to do some reading and tried tilting left for a while politically. Realized that it's flawed in its own way, and ended up reading a lot of politics this past year, a lot of like history, politics, and stuff like that. And I'm actually inspired to actually like now come up with some kind of theory which is a bit too lofty a goal, or some way to combine the dynamism of free markets along with the benefits and the compassion that comes with social welfare and stuff, which socialism hopes to get, but as we see in a number of experiments, hasn't really got. But I find it pretty inspiring ideal for myself and pretty lofty one, but it's what I hope to achieve over the course of my education in the next 4+ whatever PhD years.
Well, Reha took a lot of care and pulled one out, and I think it's the day of calling up people who have been praying desperately never to be called on stage. So now I have Bhamini power.
Hello. My name is Bhamini, and I study at Sarah Lawrence, and I'm not a very good public speaker, but so last year was my first year at college, and I'm really interested in psychology, and I took a psychology class that had to do with memory, and part of my class was to go and work in this old age home in Bronxville that deals with people with memory problems, and we did this project where we would design playlists of music that you'd think they'd like in they'd listen to in their youth and see how they'd react to it. And for the first 5 or 6 visits, it was kind of not a very good experience. The patients wouldn't talk to you, and they would throw things at you and swear at you and stuff like that. And we weren't having a really fun experience. But then I was assigned to this one patient who didn't remember his family at all, and he didn't speak to anyone really. And I made this iPod for him with this playlist, and I put in some songs that I like as well. And I put in some Michael Jackson, and I saw him tap his toe to Michael Jackson, and I put in like The Piano Man by Billy Joel, and I didn't. And apparently that was his favorite song. He started singing it, and it was a really good thing to see. So that's my inspiring moment.
Hi everyone, I'm Adya. I'm studying law and I think I'm yet to do something very inspirational, and I won't have a huge story to tell you guys. But there is something that has impacted me over the past couple of years, and I've tried to work over it, which is that a couple of years ago, I was working with a friend of mine in a nearby slum, and we were talking to these kids and we were trying to get them to go to school. And a colleague of mine had said something about how there were a lot of kids who were crowding up next to us, and she assumed that they were going to ask us for money, but instead they were all wanting water, which is a story that I often tell because it had a huge impact on me when I realized that, when I realized that there are a lot of people who are chuck money and all of that, that's secondary to them. They don't have the basic access to water, which is something I've always tried to work on, which is why I worked with my school team to create a new system for purifying water at the domestic level, which we did through fruit peels. And we realized how banana peels and other kinds of peels like orange, they can purify water at the domestic level, and they can absorb all the metals and the other impurities that are there in the water. And this is one design that we took to several places. We talked to the Delhi Jal Board. We tried to get it implemented, and hopefully it's going to happen sometime because the Delhi Jal Board really liked our report and they would like to consider it. And in pursuance of that, we also went to a lot of communities around our schools, around our colleges, and talk to people about this system so that they could purify water at the domestic level. And we then took it to US, to the company Oracle, which recognized it at the ThinkQuest Foundation competition. So I think I would like to use my education in law to do something about water, and that's something that really inspires me to keep going. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Adya. Could I now call upon Mr. Shamik Desai to please share some of his experiences?
Hi, how are you? I'm Shamik. I'm a writer and entrepreneur based in San Francisco. And I'm just here to say a few words about Kool-Aid. I've drunk many different types of Kool-Aid. And I grew up in San Francisco, studied at Stanford, and then I interned at Goldman Sachs, and I worked in the mergers and acquisitions group at Morgan Stanley, worked in this, as a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, and worked at the World Bank. So all different forms of Kool-Aid. And you know, the question is, what is Kool-Aid really? You know, drinking the Kool-Aid, to me, it's a metaphor for sort of consuming a false identity. You know, it's I imagine an empty self drinking in a false identity. It's the very definition of living from the outside in. You know, it's a drug. It gives you a false sense of aliveness, false sense of being. And basically all these things, in all these different experiences, at some level I was subordinating and compromising and selling my identity to some sort of system, whether the system was the marketplace in general, like as an investment banker, or if the system was just a very large bureaucracy, like the World Bank. And despite, I mean, these are all useful institutions in their own way and whatnot, but you know, the fact is that when you keep I think my calling is to be a writer. I felt that from a very young age. But you know, when you reverse engineer your identity to be a Morgan Stanley banker because you think that's the best job in terms of bourgeois respectability or the highest paying job, the thing is when you keep doing that, it erodes your capacity for pure intention. And as we know from today's talks, pure intention is the source and the engine of everything, of all meaning, all creativity. Spiritual wealth is the foundation of all material wealth, and all creativity ensues. It ensues by default. It's the unintended offspring of loving action, mindful action, pure action, whatever you want to call it. So what I learned is, as I kept doing this, is that this kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, basically, it's a lot of fun for a while, and it seems, the experiences are interesting. They teach you a lot, and it seems like it's the path to wealth, but it's actually very impoverishing, because it's impoverishing spiritually and hence in the long term materially as well, on two levels. One, institutionally, these institutions I was working for, like Wall Street investment banks, are themselves pockets of what you could call non-intentionality or impure action. And so very little is being created. Nothing worthwhile is being created a lot of the time out of these institutions. So those institutions themselves might not even exist next year, as we know from the 2008 financial crisis. Morgan Stanley might not even be around a year from now. And even more importantly is personal impoverishment. A lot of people say, oh, after doing investment banking for 15 years, I'll be a great poet. But the problem with that is that if you don't have a soul, it's very hard to write poetry. So, it's personally impoverishing because you undermine your own capacity to generate spiritual and hence material wealth. You undermine your own capacity to create. And to be pure and spontaneous and meaningful and whatnot. So, basically. If we can focus on having callings instead of having careers, and on quality instead of quantity, and living a life of purpose and passion, then the rest kind of takes care of itself. Because because the meaning and the creativity will ensue, and so you'll be on a path of wealth because you'll be enriching yourself, enriching others, and so organically you'll be creating things and bettering the world in the process, and things will take care of themselves. So I think it's good and fun to get these experiences, and you learn a lot. But in the long run, it's definitely better to live with purpose and passion. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Shamik. I think you gave a lot of good advice, and I think we have found a mentor for our young people. Our next speaker for the morning, I don't know how he'll react, Siddhant Sachdev.
Hi everyone, so there's a couple of pieces to the puzzle, and I might just take a minute extra, so just bear with me. So it all started when I took this course called Southeast Asian Politics, and how I studied about different Southeast Asian countries, Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and the respective leaders in Suharto, Sukarno, Ferdinand Marcos. And I always someone told me that finance is the backbone of the world. I mean, without finance, there's nothing, and economics is the one subject that's never gonna die. And I always thought economics was what I always wanted to do. And then having taken this course, I just found this new interest in government and international politics. And then came the Indian elections. And eventually, I realized that, governance is probably the backbone for everything. And without good governance, there is no finance and stuff like that. And I followed the Indian elections very closely. In fact, when the polling results were coming out, we were just sitting in front of the computer screen, just refreshing every 5 minutes. And we were all very excited. And then, the summer started. I came back, and the level of political ignorance that I actually saw in India was amazing. With what I'd done in my course, it gave me a new perspective to government, but even the ignorance that I saw in my own household, we were just sitting, and how Indians are with a cup of tea discussing politics, and wow, Modi, I think India's going to change tomorrow. So I just kept listening, and it was my grandparents talking, my parents talking, and then there was this court order that he released that Dawood Ibrahim's property be seized. And of course, my grandmother goes, "Ye to sabse badhiya banda hai." And this was just one court order. There was no action taken. And similarly, my grandfather, who is a strong supporter of the BJP since Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government, and he goes, "Yes, this is the man. I don't think Arvind Kejriwal can do anything. And Congress is the worst. I don't know why they've been in power for 50 years. And every single day in the evening, I would just hear the exact same argument with absolutely no criticism to the other side. And it would just be ab achhe din aane wale hain. And I was just waiting to see where this heads. Will anyone give another counter argument to Modi's government? And then I read this article in the Caravan which was talking about Narendra Modi's silence on everything that's taken place in India, with the rape case in Badon, with the killing of the Muslim man in Pune. And I actually realized that we are so ignorant that within 5 days we've already decided that achhe din aane wale hain. And with the most pertinent issues, he hasn't even commented on them. And he's and then I got this internship for an online daily called The Citizen, and it was there that I decided that when I write even though I was writing at a very amateur level, I decided that at least I can try and give both sides of the coin to whoever reads my articles. And I talked to the editor, and she's like, yes, we'd like that, because in journalism that never happens. And there was this video that I saw of Jon Stewart, and they talked about Indian media and how a person came from the US and he paid 3 lakhs, and the next day it was on the front page of a very reputed newspaper. It was his photo, a completely chiseled body, which he clearly did not have, and it said that he would be the next big thing in India. And he made that entire headline himself, and it was a complete hoax. And so it's just this new awakening in me. I won't even call it, it's probably not inspiring at this moment, but there is a sense that we actually need to look at both sides of the coin, and within 5 days we can't decide whether the government is good, because it is us, citizens like us, shutting our eyes to all of this, that countries like, let's say, Indonesia, Vietnam still remain mired in poverty because the rulers have been ruling for 30, 40 years, and people who actually benefited from them just shut their eyes to everything else that was happening and completely accepted reality, which they thought was true, but it wasn't. So I don't know what I'm going to do next or how I can create this sense of political awakening, but I really want to create this, get people to actually see both sides of the story, and rather than saying achhe din aane wale hain, actually do something so that it's ensured that achhe din kabhi to aayenge, if not today.
Thank you, Siddhant. All right, we have again, I think this is Cornell. Cornell follows Cornell, so we have Kritika Oberoi now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kritika. I'm going to probably take a slightly different turn from everyone else. There have been very inspiring stories so far, but I'm actually going to talk about what I've been doing this summer, which is on a much more academic term. A lot of it is going to be jargon, so I'm going to do my best to explain it, I guess. So I spent the last 2 months of my summer working on an fMRI project that is going to launch soon, and we're looking at brain activity during behavioral econ problems, I guess. So like I said, lots of jargon. Essentially what we're looking at is how people think. So when do you have rational and irrational thought given the same problem? So if I give you one problem but I state it one way or another, people's decision making completely changes, which I find so fascinating. The fact that I can make people change their choices based on how I'm wording something, that should make everyone question their choices, I think, and it definitely has made me do so. And so what I worked on this summer was designing an entire experiment with some graduate students and setting up the whole thing. And so I think that's where I learned a lot. And yeah, we're going to be running participants soon, and that's basically what I'm looking forward to and what I've really enjoyed in the past few months. Again, not the same inspiring tone as everyone else, but I thought I'd change things up a bit. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I wonder if you're going to make us change our choices now. We have somebody from our hill states to come up now. Can I request Sonali Pundir to please come up?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sonali Pundir, and I'm not a very good public speaker, so I'm sorry for that. I am from a very small village from Dehradun, and I have an inspiring story of a very nice gentleman, Mr. Swami, who has helped us to to grow up from a small village and talking to people and all. And I'm from a village where there was no English medium school. So that was the person who started a school with 5 students. And then the school grew up, and now he's teaching about 2,000 students from local villages. And tGELF also helped me. And I joined tGELF when I was in class 9, and I got an opportunity to go to Singapore. And it was a very nice opportunity for me and for all the village girls, and because from my village, nobody has traveled in the train. So how could they think of traveling in aeroplane? So it was all. Thank you. Thank you,
Sonali. That was very sweet. Thank you so much. All right, we have Mr. missing most of the time and who tries to hide in the background, but we pull him forward now. So let me present Shoaib Kohli.
Basically, my inspiring story is from 2 summers ago. I was interning at an NGO called PRS Legislative Research, and the work they do is actually to advise MLAs and MPs on all the bills that are pending in the Parliament, and it really opened my eyes as to what is actually going on in the Parliament and the kind of work they were doing in terms of like organizing workshops and events for all the MPs and MLAs and like providing information to them for all these bills which are pending. And I think that that really inspired me, and it needs to be replicated on a larger scale in our country. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, now we have a young lady with a lot of poise who will come up to speak to us now. So let me call Amira Singh.
Hi everyone, just again, my name's Amira and I'm now a sophomore at Columbia as of September 3rd this year. And I want to talk about something, I guess, that's a little more personal or just about like internal than some of the things that have inspired all of the rest of you. So this year has been a tough one, as the first year of college is for pretty much everyone. But halfway through freshman year, I lost my grandmother, which was my first brush with something that is so immediate and so final, and something that you, no matter what you do, no matter what you feel, no matter what you could trade for it, it's not something that you can never get back. And it's easy for us to say that we know that the world is unfair when the stuff that we complained about was like, oh, like 6 of my friends in class are getting to miss the math exam, like this is so unfair, why is this happening? And then you realize that there are some things that are much harder to overcome, and that was something that was hard for me to deal with, because it's a time that you can lose your faith in a lot of things. And then, so this summer I was teaching for a while at a school that I teach at every summer, and I met this girl, and we were sort of, like who I knew well, and we were chatting, catching up, talking about Supernatural, because she watches Supernatural all the time. And so she told me that, and then so her friends told me a couple of days later that she lost her mother to a brain hemorrhage less than 2 weeks ago, and here she was in class being super bubbly. And so after a while I broached the subject with her, and I was like, how are you doing? Like, how come you're here? How are you dealing with it? A little bit for her sake, but I think it was a lot for mine. And she said that, where else would I be? Everyone I love and everything that makes me happy is here. And that's when I realized that, like Dumbledore said, that happiness can be found in the darkest of places if only one remembers to turn on the light. And now that, I've been lucky to have control in most of the situations in my life and not come up against things that I find, challenges that I find insurmountable. And this was one where there's nothing you can fight it with, and then you realize that it's all in the way you look at it, and you can use that as something that makes you stronger, and you don't have to lose your faith in your destiny or the world, and you can
I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling, but it just taught me that it's all about how you think of something. And even when the worst things happen to you, things that you never understand why they happen, that just makes you hold your loved ones closer and maybe appreciate your days more and maybe tell people you love them a little more. And just this sort of approach of keeping your friends close and not collapsing in the face of a tough situation, that really inspired me. And that's something that I'm taking forward with me now that I've faced such a tough thing to understand and to move forward from. Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. Thank you. All right, now we move on to UPenn, I see. Can we have Pranav Vishnu come up?
Hey everyone, I'm Pranav, a rising sophomore at Penn. I have nothing inspiring of the sort of scale everyone here has been talking about, so I'll talk about someone that inspired me this last semester. It was one of my professors, and I kid you not, his name is Rajiv Gandhi. You can't make that kind of stuff up. So he was my computer science professor, and sometime during the semester, he decided that he wanted to give a short talk about his life. And I'd heard a lot of great things about him. He's been reputed as like the best professor at Penn's engineering school. So I went and showed up for his talk, and his sort of life story really inspired me. I'm actually going to be a teaching assistant with him next semester. It was, I think, in the 90s, he sort of, he did well in India. He went to engineering school, did the standard stuff, got into school in the US, did his master's, got a great job in Silicon Valley. He was working at Qualcomm. And he had this allowance to, go and take classes at a nearby university, every week. And he was just taking these classes, and he realized that he'd never really learned the things he was applying in his everyday life really well. And he got interested in academics a lot. And he went on then, so he was 6 months from getting his stock options, and I think it was Qualcomm. Then these options would have been worth about $1 million then, and a lot more now. And about 6 months before this, he realized that he had a real passion for academics. And he quit his job, signed up for a PhD in a school in the middle of somewhere. I have no idea. I think it was Washington. And he goes on and completes his PhD. And he's now a visiting professor at Penn. But his main work is at Rutgers Camden. Camden is one of the most sort of low-income, violent areas in Pennsylvania. And the work he does is incredibly inspiring. He works with these kids who come out of nowhere, who have no future, who expect nothing of themselves. They go to Rutgers Camden with absolutely no hopes for their future. They expect to go and work at an In-N-Out right after they graduate. And he's worked with these students individually. He was talking about these students. He started this in about 2006, and he's been working with them individually. He takes on about 10 students a year, and it's been growing in size. He's gotten funding from all kinds of grants all over the US from major universities. And he's taking these kids who've come from really, really incredibly tough backgrounds and showing them that they can do something amazing and helping them find their passion. And these are kids who've gone on to win fellowships at the best research institutes all over the US. And his work is just so inspiring. He's come back to India. He comes back every summer. He runs programs here. He runs programs for high school students in Princeton. And his work just really inspired me a lot, and I really wanted to work with him. So I'm going to be a teaching assistant for him next semester, but I was just really inspired by his story.
Well, we had some very smart young ladies who did our curating of the art show outside, and I think it's about time we heard one of them speak, and so Vasvi Goel.
Hi everyone, that was a really long list of tough acts to follow. I guess the thing that inspires me most is people. For the past couple of years, I've been working at this non-profit called the Arpana Trust, where kids from slums come in after school to learn English, singing, dancing, drama. And over the past few years, the kids there have really inspired me. They've been kids who have been children of rickshaw pullers, have had parents who are alcoholics, and have come to school every day with the brightest smile on their face. One day I was teaching one of the kids called Neelam at Arpana, and I was helping her with her English homework. And she looked at me and she told me, I wish I could take you home with me so you could help me with my homework every single day. And at that point, I thought it was really sweet, and it was something I always remembered. I went back to Princeton really wanting to do something to give the kids that I had met the same opportunities that I've been lucky enough to have in my life. And this year, a friend of mine at Princeton, the two of us sat down one day and we were talking about the resources we have at Princeton. And we really felt like we wanted to do something to empower kids like that back home. So we made a list of every single problem we wanted to fix in India, and narrowed it down to education because we were both really passionate about that. We came up with an idea for a startup which is now called Hello Sikho. We participated in a competition at Princeton called Tiger Launch that funds social enterprises and won some funding. So over the summer, I've been working on Hello Sikho, which aims to provide free audio education over mobile phones to supplement government school education. I'm working on it, and it's been one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life. I don't know how it'll go. I don't know whether it'll work out. But it's given me so much positivity, and it's given me a direction that I really want to pursue. And so every day I thank the kids at Arpana because they've really inspired me to try and take what I'm passionate about and do something that is purposeful with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasavi. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to come up and say something and share their thoughts with us? Please do come on stage. That's Sanya, come.
So I'm sure all of you know that I love speaking by now. I take every opportunity I can to come and speak here, but I'm going to keep it really short. There's a reason I'm speaking. It's because of a few things that were talked about here. If my speech had to have a short title, it would be in defense of the Kool-Aid. I've had really long conversations with Mr. Khemka. He's like the biggest mentor in my life and really keeps me grounded and gives me direction. And I've always had this like big internal conflict because I've naturally been very interested in finance. And I've always been very like, what do I do about it? How do I like bridge these two things? And like, is like the pursuit of the subject in itself unethical, even if you do find it interesting? But then with through conversations with him, I realized that it wasn't the subject he was opposed to, it was what it's used to do and what direction it eventually takes. Like, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but like you also just mentioned, and those were experiences that I've heard from a lot of people. And I just wanted to talk about the direction my interest has taken this past summer, which has been, I would say I found inspiration in the unlikeliest of places. So I was reading these two books, and I haven't talked to you, sir, about it yet, and I really want to, but I wanted to share it with everyone. I read these two books. One was The Big Short by Michael Lewis. Everyone must read it. It's amazing. It's about the financial crisis and how things came about. And the other is When Genius Failed, The Rise and Fall of Long-Term Capital Management. And just two brief things. Long-term capital management was a hedge fund in the 1990s. Had the smartest people ever, basically had like Nobel laureates, had the smartest professors from all these quantitative schools with like PhDs in physics. That was the first time academia had merged with Wall Street and become like super quant finance as we know it now. And then Mr. Khemka earlier mentioned the Russian default on its debt in '98. Long-term capital kind of fell with that as well. They had like weird risk calculation methodologies. They reduced risk to a number, which is something that then the financial regulators stepped in and were like, life always has fat tails for the statistics majors out there, and like you can't model it down to a narrow, like normal distribution. So it was all about like faulty assumptions of risk. And then the financial crisis in 2008. Again, there was this area of like high-powered finance, derivatives coming into play, people not really understanding what was happening, and before we knew it, it collapsed.
So the reason like I'm interested in finance is because it's a really, really important machine, like I call it, to let it run without ethical leadership there. Like today, a financial crisis causes as much loss of life as natural disasters, if not more, because its repercussions aren't limited by geographic areas. Like it's not that you have an earthquake in one place. The US goes down, a lot of economies tumble with it. Argentina devalues its currency, there's a flight of capital from all emerging economies. Like the way finance plays with our life, it's top down, and it really is the one effect that does trickle down to the bottom. If anything goes wrong, it does trickle down. And we kind of do need people to make the right decisions who are running these institutions, which have a lot of power. And the way I'm kind of seeing me merge these two interests of mine on like being ethical in what I do and being really interested, obsessively interested in finance is what I started noticing is that the regulators, the financial regulators are very reactive, not proactive. The financial crisis happens, then they wake up to it. Credit default swaps happen, nobody really understands what happens, and then it blows up in their faces and they have no idea what happened. This summer, I was working with Basel III regulation, which is the new regulatory framework. We were kind of working to have our internal risk calculation methodologies, where I saw like how people want to reduce risk to a number so that they have more capital freed up to deploy more capital and like increase their competence, but the way banks think is very profit oriented. So the way, okay, too technical, but the way I think that these two passions are finally merging, and I'm so glad for all the conversations I have with you, is that why don't the people who understand finance best actually go into regulation and not trying to like outsmart the system and bring it down before anyone understands what's happening. So this is where I'm heading, and as someone who faced so much conflict between my interests and my personality, I would encourage any of you. I know there are people interested in finance. I know it receives a lot of flack from all quarters for being something that, oh, you go in to make a lot of money. But honestly, if you're interested in it, I think it's an honorable pursuit because the people there exercise a lot of power. It's too important an arena to leave in the hands of people whose only interest is making money. So if you do like it, go in it and try to explore like different areas where you can add value, and finance isn't all bad and you can be good and be in finance. So that's my small like spiel for the Kool-Aid. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. That was informative and entertaining. Thank you. Now we have time for one more speaker, so who would like to come up? Two more, two hands are up. Tara, do I see? Who do I see there? Ujjwal, come on. Yeah. Is that Ujjwal? Okay, come.
Okay, so I just really felt like coming here and talking because this was like bursting out of me. I've pretty much felt like an empty vessel ever since Shweta spoke. Shweta, where are you? Okay. Yeah, I mean, but then when Amira spoke, she said that like I learned to thank people when I feel like thanking them. So I just had to say this. Thank you, Amira, for like your truly inspiring speech. It really, really touched me. And I know it's hard. Like I went through a loss this past semester as well, and that was to a suicide. So it was just a completely different experience, and it's hard, but I know we can get through it. I also just want to thank Radhika. She probably doesn't know I'm talking about her, but I am. I did the exercise with her today where we were kind of introspecting when we're 90-year-old and we're introspecting about our lives. And I read hers, and it just deeply, deeply touched me. So like, thank you for just being such a big inspiration. And thank you, just everyone, all the people who put their artwork up, like just looking at that, like I'm just funny right now. And just thank you, Shweta, like beautiful speech. I can't imagine the kind of strength you have, the people, the women in your, it's mind-blowing. And I'm more and more coming to understand like what it means to be a woman in different contexts. And I'm kind of getting interested in that. So just beautiful. Like I hope you can just like sprinkle your spirit on just this whole country. It's really required, and we can just make many more of you. Just thank you all. That's all.
Thank you. Can we have the other? Yeah.
Hello, my name is Choeng, and I'm from Nepal. One of the one of the moments I have been inspired many times in life, but the first inspiration I got is in 2009. I became a nun at the age of 8, and there's a nun who established a school with 7 students for the underprivileged children in Nepal, and I was one of the students in Nepal. So gradually, right now in 2014, there are 80 girls. Those that same nun have established like a bigger school with more facilities and providing better opportunity for 80 girls. And right now she have she have not only established a school, but she have also established a hospital, like a kidney hospital, and that person have inspired me. And right now, currently, I study and also work in her organization. I studied travel and tourism, and I got inspired from her, so that I'm trying my best to, and so looking after her, I'm inspired to contribute something to the society. So currently, I'm working in her organization and trying to multiply her social works and all. And right now, the same school is giving opportunity to the young girls in Nepal, like to study medical, like Ayurvedic and painting and many different kind of opportunities. And she's among with us today, and her name is Annie Cheng. She's also a singer and social work, and she really inspires me and all the students in Nepal and people all around. Thank you.
I think we have our last speaker coming up now, and that's Ujjwal.
Most things start and end in tGELF with some reference of Sanya, so I thought I will also do the same. And it's not going to be in defense of Kool-Aid Part 2, which I think I should leave the next year because I'm a finance major at Princeton. But today I'm going to start with something she said to me this morning. She said, there was like the new people coming in and introducing themselves. And she says to me, whenever there was a Doon School guy, I was like, yeah, I'm going to clap for him and, feel that sense of pride about my boarding school. And then she brings up this topic as to how, like, people from Doon School have something about themselves that tells you that they're from Doon School. And I was like, how do you even do that? Like, there's like 10 of us here, and we all look very different from each other, and we're very different people. How do you just determine that? And then she says, there's something with it. But so this is where I begin. I never thought I was someone who looked like someone from Doon School. I just really wasn't. I came from a smaller town. Most people in Doon School are like very Delhi based and have some sort of some of them are alumni children and stuff like that. But I wasn't the typical Doon School kid, the kind of guy who you would expect to get in. And like with my entire school journey, which I think I already shared last time when I was here at Life, was about, I think, how fortunate I was to receive the kind of education I got and then be able to move on to Princeton. And so I think when I look back at my life when I graduated from Doon, I thought that I wanted to do something for someone else who also wanted to achieve something of the same sort of, if they wanted to apply to colleges abroad and they were really confused just like I was and just being baffled by everything, that I wanted to contribute. And so there were three friends of mine at Harvard, and one of them was at UChicago, and we just came up with this idea that we were going to build an online platform called Indie Mentoring, through which we extend services completely free of charge, through which we help applicants all over from India generally, because we understand that there's financial aid limitations as well with some applicants, and we really want to give them good advice after having gone through the process ourselves. And you've just graduated like at the end of May, and like you have three months to college, and you just feel like, I should be doing something at least, not like just whiling away all the time like I used to. But so I started doing that, and I found this kid who was really, really interesting, and I started personally mentoring him. And the suspense part of it will come towards the end, so I'll already keep your hopes up high. So I start talking to this guy who's really interested in applying abroad, and he has great sense of humor, and like he's really really passionate about going abroad, and like I think I really want to help him. And so I spent a considerable amount of time not just with him but for anyone who had questions in the regard of applications abroad, and we set up Piazza, we set up Facebook. We were all the time just trying to like get questions answered, writing Word documents to just extend help. And I think it really taught me a lot about mentorship, because for the first time I was in the role of a mentor, which I've always been on the receiving end and been gladly receiving it. But being a mentor really taught me a lot, and I'm very happy to say, and I'm going to probably end this talk today, that the guy who I mentored, and I just don't take any credit because like he is where he is because he was very, very smart and he deserved to be here. He's actually someone who's joined us as a new member for tGELF this year. Shreyas Manohar, will be attending Columbia. He was someone I helped during the admissions process, and I think in trying to help him, I learned a lot about myself, and mentorship just taught me a lot about who I was and who I should be and what I aim to do in life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Shiv, your dream of senior mentoring another young student has already come true. We end this evening, but before that, I'd like to call all our speakers on stage to give them a final thank you, and I'd request Urvashi, is Urvashi here? Urvashi to please come on stage to give them a token of recognition of having had the courage to come up. Adya Chawla, Siddhant Sachdev, Kritika, Amira, Pranav, Sonali, Bhamini, Sanya, Tara, Ujjwal, then Choing and Shamik. And Urvi, where's Urvi? Shwet, we'll give her at the end. I want to give her separately. Okay. Salil, okay. Yeah.
Have we left anybody else out? I don't mean to ask. Sorry. Yeah, but some of the papers are crumpled up.
All right. We would also like to honor Shweta. 2 books for Shweta. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I think a busy but interesting day comes to an end, and we have an even more busy and an even more interesting day coming up tomorrow. And having said all the nice things, can I remind all my young friends here that you need to report back here at 8 a.m. tomorrow. But please have your breakfast and then arrive here. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody, and good night.
tGELF, leading the change.